Ever get that feeling? You know that feeling where, like, the most normal night just kind of twists and turns into something really strange and unsettling?
Yeah, definitely.
That's what we're looking at today. The case of James Yoblonski,
Yeah.
a Wisconsin teenager who disappears
Right.
after a totally normal evening.
And I think that's what makes it so baffling, right?
Yes.
We've got security footage from his house.
Okay.
We've got, the investigative reports. We've got his own father's plea.
Right.
Trying to figure out what happened. And it's almost like trying to solve one of those jigsaw puzzles where, like, half the pieces are missing.
Totally. So let's just start with what we know then.
Okay.
June 12th, 2023. It's just another summer night, small town Wisconsin. James is at home with family. They're having a movie night. Just
sounds pretty normal.
totally normal, right?
Yeah.
Like nothing seems off.
Except for the fact that later that night, the security cameras at the Yoblonski's home pick something up. Around 1 a.m., James is seen leaving his bedroom.
Okay.
He's got a backpack, which, fair enough.
Right.
But then there's 2 more bags.
Okay.
And that, for me, that's already a little bit of a red flag.
So already it seems like more than just like sneaking out to get a burger or something, right? Like, what are you thinking when you see those bags?
Well, it suggests there's a plan.
Yeah.
Like, he's thought this through a little bit.
Yeah.
Which, teenagers can do. But it's not necessarily screaming, like, impulsive teenager to me.
Okay.
But it gets weirder.
Okay.
He then gets into the family van. Really?
The family van.
Not exactly subtle.
Not exactly the most inconspicuous.
Yeah.
Right? For a teenager who's trying to maybe disappear.
It's like he wants to be seen or he wants to take specific things with him.
Right? Right.
Like, my brain is doing backflips, trying to put myself in his shoes.
It does make you wonder, like, was there an attempt to be discreet?
Yeah.
Or was it just he needed the van for some reason?
Yeah.
And then it raises that question of, like, well, what's in the bags? Like, what are you packing for?
What's the goal here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is where, getting into the mindset of James is going to be kind of the key to unlocking this.
And to add to all of this, James's dad, Bill Yoblonski, he said everything seemed totally normal.
Right.
Earlier that night. Just a regular family movie night. They're all hanging out, and then nothing. Yeah, and this is where the security footage gets even more unsettling because we actually hear Bill realize that James is gone.
Oh, wow.
And it's the panic in his voice when he realizes that the van is gone too.
Oh, gosh.
It's chilling.
Can we hear that? Can we play that for the listener?
Yeah.
Let them hear this moment.
Definitely.
Where reality sets in.
Bill's voice shouting, James is gone. He's got my phone.
Gosh. I mean, that moment.
Yeah.
Every parent's worst nightmare.
Yeah.
To realize your child is gone and you have no idea.
And you don't know where they've gone.
You don't know where they went.
Or no.
You don't know why.
Yeah.
You don't know how.
It speaks to the chaos of it.
Yeah.
The missing phone, the van. It's like he just vanished.
So the police obviously get brought in.
Of course.
What are they able to put together?
So using the security footage from the Yoblonski home and other businesses in the area,
Okay.
they're able to kind of track James's movements throughout the night.
Okay.
And this is where it gets even more perplexing.
What do you mean?
So we know that he drives throughout the night, right?
Okay.
He makes multiple stops at his dad's business in Wisconsin Dells.
His dad's business.
His dad's business.
In the middle of the night.
In the middle of the night.
What could he be doing?
And this is where it gets really murky.
Yeah.
And this is a point of major interest to investigators.
Yeah, like was he looking for something? Was he meeting someone? Was he trying to send a message? Like
What's the goal?
What is the goal?
Yeah.
We don't know.
We just don't know.
Okay.
And then hours later, the van is found abandoned. Abandoned on the side of a highway miles away from the business.
So he ditched the van.
Yeah.
But if he was running away, why not just keep driving?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've got freedom. You've got mobility.
Yeah.
Why ditch it?
Why would you leave that?
And it doesn't stop there.
Okay.
About 100 yards from the van, investigators find something else. A makeshift campsite.
Wait, he ditched a perfectly good vehicle
I know.
to rough it in the woods.
Yeah. And not just any woods.
Yeah.
We're talking dense woodland.
Oh, gosh.
The kind of place that's really easy to get turned around in.
Right.
So it's almost as if he's deliberately traded the open road for a labyrinth.
So we've got James. He's ditched this van, and he's seemingly vanished into the wilderness. I mean, what are investigators thinking at this point?
Well, at this stage, it's a lot more questions than answers, right? I mean,
Yeah.
they're combing the campsite. They're looking for any clue as to, his state of mind.
Right.
And what they find scattered around are his belongings, clothes, bags, hygiene items,
Okay.
even Bill's missing cell phone.
Wait, so the phone was there
The phone was there
at the campsite.
alongside the other things.
Was that on purpose? Did the battery die? Was he trying to disconnect but then changed his mind? I mean,
That's part of the mystery, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because it feels significant, right? Like
Right.
he chose to be cut off or was forced to be cut off.
chills.
And you can imagine in 2023, teenagers don't willingly part with their phones very often.
Not really, no. Okay, so the campsite, again, kind of raises more questions. It doesn't really give us a lot of answers. What about the search? I mean, this is dense woodland. This isn't like an easy little hike.
No, the terrain was difficult. And despite an extensive search, canine units, helicopters, drones, the works.
Yeah, they brought it all out.
They really did. They found no other trace of James.
Wow.
No footprints, no signs of a struggle, nothing.
It's like he vanished.
And that's the unsettling feeling that kind of permeates this entire case, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's one thing to run away, to choose to disappear,
Right.
but to just vanish without a trace and leave all these questions unanswered,
Yeah.
that's what makes it so perplexing.
And heartbreaking, too. I can only imagine what James's family was going through during those days, those agonizing days of searching.
Absolutely. So as the days turn into weeks and still there's no sign of James, investigators start to explore other possibilities.
Yeah.
They dig a little deeper into his life. So we're talking online activity, phone records, social media, looking for any indication of, where he might have gone, who he might have been in contact with, what could have led up to this.
So it becomes a digital manhunt in a way.
Exactly.
What do they find?
So they learn that James was a fan of survivalist forums and videos.
Okay.
He even owned several books on the subject, some of which were missing from his room.
So we've got the campsite, we've got this rugged terrain, we've got the missing survival books. Is it possible that he was trying to go off the grid on purpose?
It's a theory investigators considered,
Yeah.
especially given his interest in survivalism. But, even the most experienced survivalists, they plan meticulously for that sort of thing.
No.
They've got supplies, they've got maps, they've got a way to communicate in case of emergencies. James's actions, though, they just seemed hasty, almost desperate.
Almost like he was running from something or towards something, but hadn't really thought it through.
Right, exactly that. And then there's the video.
The video.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is where things get really strange. For those who aren't familiar, before his disappearance, James posted a video online. What can you tell us about it?
Well, the video is brief,
Yeah.
but it's incredibly unsettling.
Yeah.
James appears to be alone, and his demeanor is off.
Hoff how?
He seems agitated, nervous, almost scared. His words are jumbled, confusing.
Like he's trying to get something out, but he can't
Right,
quite.
he's not quite sure how.
Yeah.
And then he says this really chilling line. He says, "It's not their fault. It's no one's fault. It's my fault." He even mentions that something happened to his brain. It's like he's trying to tell us something,
Yeah.
but it's shrouded in fear and confusion.
I remember watching that when it first came out, and you can't shake the feeling that something is wrong.
No.
Deeply wrong.
And it's a key piece of evidence in this case.
Right.
Was James speaking literally, figuratively?
Yeah.
Was he forced to make the video? Was he trying to send some kind of coded message?
Right.
These are all questions that continue to haunt investigators.
Yeah.
And, Bill, James's father,
Yeah.
he's desperate for answers.
And, through all of this, Bill's perspective has been really powerful.
Yeah.
From day one, he has not wavered.
No.
He has been so adamant that James would not just run away, that something else is going on here.
And that unwavering belief has really fueled his search for James.
Yes.
Because he's convinced that James was coerced into leaving.
Right.
That the video was a cry for help.
Yeah, and he even took a polygraph test, right, to prove he wasn't involved in James's disappearance at all.
He did.
And he passed.
Yeah.
I mean, his father is going to extraordinary lengths to try to bring his son home.
Absolutely. And you really feel for him. He is clinging to that hope,
Yeah.
to that possibility that somebody somewhere knows something,
Right.
anything that could help bring him home.
That's heartbreaking.
Yeah, and you can hear it when he does these pleas for information.
Yeah.
You can hear that weight of grief and
Yeah.
that desperation.
It's been 7 months.
I know.
There's still no sign of James. No new leads, no real breakthroughs. What are investigators saying at this stage?
Well, officially, the case remains open.
Okay.
But you have to admit, the trail has gone cold.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't found any concrete evidence of foul play.
Okay.
But even they admit that the circumstances are incredibly unusual.
It's just such a...
Bizarre.
It's bizarre. Like every little detail, the bags, the van, the campsite, the video, the survival books, it's just a giant question mark.
And that's what makes it so difficult,
Yeah.
because there's no clear motive. There's no, like, obvious explanation.
Right.
It's like trying to put together a puzzle.
Right.
And the pieces, they could fit together in so many different ways.
Right.
But no matter how you put them together, the picture's still unclear.
So where does that leave us? I mean, we don't have any answers, do we?
No.
We have a family who is just shattered
Absolutely.
and a community that's just holding its breath.
And that's why we're sharing the story. Because sometimes the best thing we have in these situations is just collective awareness.
Yeah.
Because somebody, somewhere, might hold that last piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
That one little detail that could bring James home.
Maybe it's someone who saw him that night.
Exactly.
Maybe someone who, there was something familiar in that video and they just...
Or they have that piece of information and they don't even realize it's important.
Right. Exactly.
That could be the key.
Yes. So to our listener, if you know anything at all about James's disappearance, don't stay silent. Please contact the Sauk County Sheriff's Office. Every tip, every lead,
everything helps.
It could make a world of difference.
And just as you go about your day, just keep James and his family in your thoughts.
Yes.
Let's hope that by just keeping this story alive and keeping that conversation going, we can bring James home.
This case, man, I don't know, it just really makes you think. If you were in a position where you needed to send a message or a desperate plea for help, how would you do it? What would you leave behind? It's kind of a haunting thought.
It is.
It is.